Imagine ruling one of the largest empires in human history. Unlimited power, palaces of gold, absolute control over millions of lives. Now imagine losing all of it, not to a foreign army, but to your own people. For more than 300 years, the Romanov family ruled Russia with an iron grip. They survived wars, assassinations, revolutions, and betrayals. They built an empire that stretched across 2 continents. And yet, in the end, the Romanovs didn't fall slowly. They collapsed, suddenly, violently, and forever. So how did one family rise to godlike power and lose everything? This is the story of the Romanovs. The Romanov story begins in chaos. In the early 1600s, Russia was tearing itself apart. This period, known as the Time of Troubles, was marked by famine, civil war, foreign invasion, and false kings claiming the throne. Russia was on the brink of collapse. Then, in 1613, a teenage boy named Mikhail Romanov was chosen as Tsar. He wasn't a great warrior. He wasn't a genius strategist. He was just 16 years old, young, quiet, and connected to powerful families. And that was exactly why he was chosen. The Russian nobility wanted stability. Mikhail was a compromise, a symbol of peace after years of bloodshed. When he accepted the crown, few could have imagined that his family would rule Russia for the next 3 centuries. The Romanov dynasty had begun. The Romanovs ruled as autocrats, meaning they held absolute power. The Tsar wasn't just a king. He was believed to be chosen by God. His word was law. Disobedience wasn't just treason, it was sin. Over generations, the Romanovs tightened their grip on Russia. Millions of peasants were trapped in serfdom, legally bound to the land and their nobles. The wealth of the empire flowed upward, while the masses lived in poverty. This system created incredible power, but also incredible tension. The Romanovs believed control was strength. But control came at a cost, resentment. And no one embodied Romanov power more dramatically than Peter the Great. In the late 1600s, Peter the Great took the throne and changed Russia forever. Peter was obsessed with the West. He traveled through Europe in disguise, studying shipbuilding, science, and military tactics. When he returned, he forced Russia to modernize, whether people wanted it or not. He built a new capital city, St. Petersburg, from frozen swampland. Thousands of workers died constructing it. But Peter didn't care. This city would be Russia's window to Europe. He cut nobles' beards. He reformed the army. He crushed rebellions without mercy. Peter made Russia a great power, feared across Europe. But his rule also showed a pattern that would haunt the Romanovs: progress enforced through brutality. Russia grew stronger. The people grew angrier. By the 1800s, the Romanovs were living in breathtaking luxury. Palaces glittered with chandeliers and gold. Royal balls lasted all night. The imperial family lived worlds away from the people they ruled. But beneath the surface, Russia was cracking. Industrialization created new cities and factories, where workers faced brutal conditions. Peasants still struggled to survive. Calls for reform were ignored or crushed. One Romanov tried to change things, Alexander II, who freed the serfs in 1861. But reform came too slowly. Revolutionaries wanted more. In 1881, Alexander II was assassinated by a bomb. The message was clear: change or be destroyed. Unfortunately, the last Romanov ruler would choose the worst possible path. Nicholas II became Tsar in 1894, and he was completely unprepared. He was gentle, indecisive, and deeply convinced that God alone guided his rule. Nicholas refused real reform, even as Russia faced military defeat, economic collapse, and growing unrest. Then came World War I. The war devastated Russia. Soldiers lacked weapons. Food shortages triggered riots. Millions died. Trust in the monarchy evaporated. In 1917, revolution erupted. Nicholas II abdicated the throne, ending 300 years of Romanov rule in a single moment. The former royal family was imprisoned. A year later, during the Russian Civil War, they were executed in secret. An empire vanished overnight. The Romanovs weren't just rulers, they were a warning. They show what happens when power becomes isolated, when leaders stop listening, and when inequality grows too wide to ignore. For centuries, they seemed untouchable. But history doesn't care about crowns or bloodlines. It only cares about change. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's most dramatic dynasties, hit the like button. It really helps the channel. Subscribe for more powerful stories about empires, revolutions, and the people who shaped history. And let me know in the comments. Backhand index pointing right, which Romanov do you think had the biggest impact on history, and why? Thanks for watching. See you in the next story.